Show.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
I was just
a good microphone.
Guy, I'm getting
if that's
so many
a microphone at
compliments.
all.
I'm getting so many compliments on this microphone.
I just want to eat it like a green apple.
That's cool. You got good hair.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's very thick. I noticed
Thank
that
you.
like in your first movie, Bubble Boy.
Thanks, man.
It's good.
Thank you.
A lot of successful people have thick hair, but balding, there's a lot of successful
Balding is fine,
people
bro.
in the entertainment.
Balding is fine.
Okay, cool.
Don't
now
you
I feel
think?
better about myself.
Because I will probably bald one day, and I would like to know that. Well, I do have a lot of hair now, but there doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to lose all of it.
You know what? It has a lot to do with your mom's dad. If your mom's dad was bald, then you'll go bald. If not, then no.
I don't think he is bald. But he does have a little less hair up here. But I don't know.
That's cool. It's better to recede than to thin. Now, Jake.
True.
Now, Jake, tell me about Donnie Darko and what led you to get into this movie.
Oh man, it's a long story, but to make a long story short, I read the script. I was given the script and said, I fell in love with it sort of after reading it for the first time. I met with Richard after expecting some weird, crazy goth man. I met a sort of preppy, sort of, frat guy. And this odd, really quirky, really dark movie came out of this supposedly sort of straight-laced kind of guy. And I said, man, that's the type of movie I want to make. I want to make be made by a guy who writes something, and I expect something totally different. I want to do that. I wanted to make a type of movie like that. That's a paradox. That's full of irony. Which is what Richard is in a way. Because people wouldn't assume that from him, but little they know.
Well, his father worked for NASA, right?
Yes, and
so makes him a little spacey.
I guess so. No, you're right. No, there are different things that tie in a way, but all in all, when you see him, you don't expect this movie from him. You don't see what is as he doesn't let it all out there. He's sort of just hey, how are you? I'm Richard.
Now, how much of Jake are we seeing in the Donnie Darko character in the movie? How much of you is really in there?
It's up to anyone to determine. For me, there's a lot of me in there, and then there's a lot of Richard in there. Caricatures and characteristics that I brought in and or tried to at least, and then pieces of all the other characters. Mary McDonnell really helped me out, and Holmes Osborne, all those people. Just working with people who had a similar vision, I could just sort of watch their mannerisms. They play my mother and father, so I'd sort of take stuff from them and things like that, like hunch over my shoulders. And I don't know. There's enough of me in there to make whatever I went through to try and make it believable. I needed to make it as real as I could in such a surreal, story. So
I've read that Thora Birch, when she gets into a character, it possesses her for a really long time, and she becomes that even when she's walking down the street. How did you deal with getting into the character?
I'm just starting to work on really figuring stuff out. So when I was playing it, I'm not when I'm doing something, I'm not always aware of what I'm in or conscious of that I'm in a dark state. But then again, I don't know if I've done enough work to really get there. So I don't really know. But when I was in this role, I was really conscious of making him sane, making him as normal as possible, so that the things that went on around him were abnormal and weird. And they bounced off of each other, and to not make him too demonstrative, oh my God, there are all these ghosts, it's just...
Yeah, because then the people that see the movie can't relate with the character.
Exactly. And I think that this is a story that's about growing up, and it's a story about what it feels like when you come of age in some way, and what happens sort of metaphorically, maybe I could talk to a bunny. Anything is possible. It's not that sort of woohoo, life's great, anything is possible. It's sort of anything is possible. So it sort of takes everything into perspective.
Well, I think we've learned that in the last couple months, haven't we?
I would say so.
What's next for you, real quick?
I have a movie coming out with Jennifer Aniston and John C. Reilly and Timberlake Nelson called The Good Girl. And I have another movie called Goodbye Hello with Dustin Hoffman and Susan Sarandon and Holly Hunter.
Enjoy the movie. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure being interviewed by you.
All right.
Hey, that's amazing. I just may not go see the movie because the microphone is unbelievably mesmerizing.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Have a good night.
You too.
The Blairing Out Show.